to our audience. Well, let's talk now to a friend of this programme, Dr. Alan Mendoza, who's the Executive Director of the Henry Jackson Society. I mean, Alan, there's so much going on today. I don't know where to begin. We've had the NATO meeting. We've got the UN Security Council once again meeting. And then you also have Eastern Europe saying, please, please, Western Europe, you've got to do more. I mean, are we in a situation now that we've underestimated Putin before? Should we be concerning ourselves with risks to Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, Poland, Finland?
Of course. I mean, the reality is Putin's had his green light to go in by our lack of action to stop him. I mean, think about it, Alex. We've had weeks when we've been told he will do this, he will do that, he will invade here. These are the plans, provocations. We knew his entire battle plan and we did nothing to stop him, essentially. We put a couple of sanctions on. We keep on putting piecemeal sanctions on. Now, if you're the dictator of Russia and you see this weak response, do you decide that actually I'm going to keep on pushing on? Why should I stop at the borders of Ukraine now? I'm going to have a little crack at, maybe the Baltic states, or maybe I'll go over the borders of Ukraine into some of those countries that I think should still be mine from beyond. So, unfortunately, what we've done thus far is embolden Putin, convince him that might is actually an easy option for him to take, and that's why he continues to advance in this aggressive fashion.
And we had Defence Secretary Ben Wallace reaffirming again today, no British boots on the ground. We will not be in combat with Russian troops directly, given that that would trigger a wider war across the entire continent of Europe. So what is it that we can do other than this package of sanctions, which even Donald Tusk, the former president of the European Council, has called utterly disgraceful? Those weren't his exact words, but he's called out Germany, Italy and Hungary for watering those down. What can we do as the West now to stop Putin in his tracks? And it might be too late to save Ukraine, but stop him having even grander ideas of what he can get away with.
Well, I agree with Ben Wallace that we don't want to be fighting the Russians. That's obviously not in anyone's interests. However, the idea that there should be no boots on the ground in Ukraine is a mistake, a huge mistake. It should be quite obvious that we should be establishing a safe haven in the west of Ukraine, where our troops move in from their positions, having been invited in by the legitimate Ukrainian government. They should be taking up positions in that area and protecting the civilians there, as well as providing refuge for all those coming into that area. Now, the point of this is twofold. Number one, safe areas have been well established in many previous conflicts. All over the place, you've had these sort of bases set up. Secondly, let's think about this logically. We've got to have a place where free Ukraine is able to survive, so that any discussions afterwards are conducted from some principle of kind of governments talking to one another rather than one being completely defeated in that way. And I'm not, again, taking anything away from what the Ukrainians are doing on the ground. They're fighting desperately, but they are, being surrounded on three sides. That's a problem. And equally, what you want to be doing is also ensuring that Ukrainians fleeing from the east don't have to leave Ukraine. They can stay in Ukraine in the western part, pending whatever may happen next. But clearly, to rule out boots on the ground full stop is a huge strategic error on our part.
Dr. Mendoza, thank you. There you go. Ruling out boots on the ground in Ukraine would be a strategic error. Dr. Mendoza, they're saying it is possible with the agreement of the Ukrainian government to put troops into Western Ukraine under their invitation.